Previously on Destiny.
This one you shall cherish, O guardian mine.
You're sure about this?
I am. We'll find each other again.
Always.
I kept my promise, as you did yours. Isn't that a pleasant surprise?
For that.
With Crow risking his life and entering the extra-spatial portal of the Traveler, and the bridge yet to be made by Marasov, there are still other threads that loom in the background. The sole Divisive Vex still refused to relinquish Riven's lair, and while she hasn't appeared for some time, it is abundantly clear that Savathun is already working her angle on another contingency plan, as she watches what will happen from behind the scenes. And at the end of Season of the Wish, the Ahamkara have returned in full fold, only in rumour but in the form of new whims, and other Ahamkara dotted throughout the edges of the Sol system. Welcome back, Guardians. My name is Samlab, and today we'll be talking about something rather unique in its nature, and it isn't a topic that has been discussed in much detail before. Before we get started, if you haven't caught up with Season of the Wish story yet, then definitely consider watching my recent videos, which breaks down some key elements of the season and where the story is headed post Season of the Wish. Guardians gather around a holographic table, studying star maps and discussing reports that have reignited age-old legends. The topic of their conversation: the return of the Ahamkara. These dragon-like beings, long thought extinct, have resurfaced in Destiny 2, sparking curiosity, concerns, and a sense of foreboding among the Guardian ranks. The Ahamkara are not merely creatures of lore. They are whispered about in ancient tales passed down through generations of Guardians. Known for their enigmatic nature and the ability to grant wishes, the Ahamkara were hunted to near extinction during the Golden Age. Their reappearance raises questions about their origin, their motives, and their connection to the very essence of the Traveler itself. Some have speculated, including myself, that the Ahamkara are remnants of the Traveler's power, made manifest by the influence of its power upon the universe, but localized to the Sol system. I did a video discussing this idea a number of years ago, that when the Traveler first entered Sol to terraform Venus, once its light touched the planet, the Ahamkara simply burst into existence. Some lore hints at the idea of paracausal conditions being just right, causing the Ahamkara to form into existence on the planet's surface. However, in my mind, probably a more logical explanation, one that also connects to the function of the Traveler. Think of the Traveler like a seed. Within this seed contains all the equations needed for fertile life. This is what I believe the unveiling lore refers to when it says, "In the morning, the gardener pushed seeds down into the wet loam of the garden to see what they would become." In many ways, the Traveler functions like an ark, containing a quantum collective of living matter, which can be distributed into any planet. This is the process of terraforming. We understand that the great machine generates life on a molecular level. Just as Guardians can be raised from the dead, so as could another being or entity. This is what I believe the Ahamkara to be: fossilized life, buried in the soils of Venus, until touched by the raw, reformative, and terraformative power of the light. Now, during Season of the Witch, a truth was revealed. At the center of Savathun's Imbaru engine was an uncorrupted Ahamkara egg, though it wasn't made clear whether Savathun took the egg without Riven's knowledge, or how Savathun knew Riven had a clutch. But Riven does refer to her as that one being clever. There is a lot about Ahamkara principles that Savathun's logic bears similarity to. There are even lore records suggesting that the Ahamkara, Leviathan and Worm God's food chains are of the same origin, utilizing the same ontological words to trap prey of weak minds in order to feed. In a sense, you could say that both the worms and the Ahamkara feed on what is and what might be, and both desire to reach a higher pinnacle of existence. And yet, in the Season of the Wish, Mara Sov and her Techian were able to conjure back Riven, something that most of us assumed was impossible, and this was done without the need of a bargain or a wish. Many of you may not have done this, but there is an Ahamkara egg that lies within Eris Morn's sanctum. If you approach it, you can hear the faint rhythmic sound of a beating heart. Have a listen to what it sounds like. Does it sound familiar? No? Then let us have a look at another clip where I believe we can draw these two connective dots together. Have a listen to this cutscene from the Season of the Wish ending.
This one you shall cherish, O guardian mine.
You're sure about this?
I am. It has to be me. We'll find each other again.
Always.
Kept my promise, as you did yours. Isn't that a pleasant surprise?
For that, at least, you have my thanks.
And you have mine, for always providing such a unique challenge. To impose your desires upon reality so artfully. You could teach my children a great deal. Until we meet again, Mara.
Is he? He is on his way.
It is strange, wouldn't you think, that heartbeats like these would be revealed at the end of the season, as we prepare to go into the final shape. But as all things in destiny, anything is possible. There are two notes we can keep going forward into the final shape, which are these. 1. the possibility of Ahamkara originating from the Traveller. 2. How the Awoken are intrinsically linked to the light of the Traveller and the darkness of the Veil. I made a video a while back discussing the idea in my prismatic video. While the Awoken as a race would never admit it, or other lore creators suggest it, these people of light and darkness could very well be one argument in the chaos of the Flower game. During the collapse, the darkness sought to claim the Yang Li Wei and Exodus colony ship, to which the Traveller answered by attacking with an immense beam of light, its terraformative power displayed during the first moments of the final shape. And as I said earlier, this paracausal light has regenerative properties. But the darkness also couldn't win, but only contest the light in a tug of war. The crew and passengers of Exodus Green unfortunately became victims of this wrestling match. They were undone and remade all at once, thus bringing about the dawn of the Awoken, a race of people blessed by both the light and the darkness. Several weeks ago, we received a trailer from Bungie showcasing Cade 6. And all things said, this character being revealed wasn't actually the most important thing about the trailer. If you hadn't watched it yet, here it is again. See if you can spot anything unique in relation to the topic of this video, before I get started with breaking it down.
When I woke up in this place, I could have almost believed it was paradise. I feel the light flowing through me. It's everywhere. The ground beneath my feet is a memory. So is the grass. And the sky, the warmth of the sun on my face. And around every corner, every familiar hallway, I keep expecting to see you. But instead, corruption, a blight, sickness spreading through the Traveller. Because the Traveller's where I am, isn't it? This disease, I can feel it too. Something in the pit of me knows it won't stop after it's consumed this place. You, me, the entirety of everything and everyone we know. It wants to infect it all. We gotta stop what's happening here. Now. Before it's too late.
A final shape is coming.
Great. Now that you've watched the trailer, there are 3 very noteworthy areas inside the heart of the final shape that are important. Cutting to the chase, however, is that the Ahamkara bones and parts can be seen throughout the Pale Heart. Is this what we're truly seeing, though? Nothing is for certain. We know that the inside of the Traveller is affected by both the Witness and the influence of the Guardians, so it's hard to say whether these Ahamkara bones are present within the Traveller because of Guardians' experiences with Ahamkara, or the Witness, or ultimately the Traveller. I speculatively suggested the idea that the Ahamkara came into existence on Venus because of the Traveller's influence. But if the Traveller's light functions like an arc, a composite of different kinds of life, even if we're drawing a speculative conclusion, this is the case. and I for one cannot wait to see whether this is true or not. Now, all these things considered, we have no indication or explanation whether the witness knew or knows about the Ahamkara. However, given that it tends to splice different species together in its mad pursuit of the perfect, final shape, it wouldn't be too heretical to think that the witness would capture one, or bribe one. There are only a few times that Riven talks about the witness in the Season of the Wish. From her explanation, we can probably draw two conclusions. Ahamkara aren't as powerful as the witness, or Ahamkara are more powerful than the witness. More recently, Bungie shared a video detailing prismatic hunter gameplay. Aside from the epic skills of combination, there is a rather interesting encounter that has been shared. Dragons. There's an encounter with dragons! Excuse me. Back to the video. The fight displays an encounter with an enemy, which I assume from the Dredge faction called Cataxia Tormentor of the Ahamkara. Hello? Look, speculation is running pretty wild here, but the title of this tormentor is extremely fascinating. If it is indeed a tormentor of the Ahamkara, what does this mean? There are now quite possibly a myriad of questions pertaining to a hidden truth. Has the witness captured an Ahamkara? Did the witness experiment on Ahamkara? Were the Ahamkara within the Traveler all along? What is the relationship between the Ahamkara and the Traveler? What purpose do the Ahamkara serve? The list quite literally goes on forever. I can't help but think that there is a paracausal difference between influence and embodiment within the Traveler. That clip shows actual dragon bones, Ahamkara skeletons. This, in itself, is a wild idea. What else could we have been wrong about? If Ahamkara are somehow part of the Traveler, it would make sense as they are quite able to grant wishes, any wishes. To do this requires great power, as we have seen with most entities in the universe of Destiny. Each heavily rely on the cosmic principles of light and darkness, and as Nezarec has so clearly mentioned before, neither can be destroyed. Just as when the Ahamkara or Worm God is destroyed, they ascend to a higher plane of existence, just as the Hive siblings are able to tether themselves to another ascendant realm and physical realm. Then wouldn't it make sense for the Traveler and also the Winnower being able to do the same? After all, Unveiling Lore suggests that the two of them created all life within the universe of Destiny as we know it, and the Sol System is just one small area within interstellar space. Finally, one last component of this encounter is displayed on the left-hand side of the overhead display. It says, "Activate the Ahamkara skulls with taken energy." This, in its very nature, holds a fascinating idea. What purpose would we as Guardians have using taken energy to activate Ahamkara skulls? And for what purpose? I think we can assume it is part of this mini-boss encounter, but the strange question is why? Why is there a tormentor linked to the Ahamkara? And what would it be trying to do? I fear the answer is close, but we won't really get a full answer until the release of Final Shape. At the end of Season of the Wish, we learned more about the connection between Crow, formerly Uldren Sov, and Mara Sov, Queen of the Awoken People. Their bond is immovable. Have a listen to this audio log.
So you wish to hear the rest of my brother's story? Fine. I will oblige you. When the storm came, Riga and Aga rode the winds to meet it. A fleet of Talons at their back. A great battle ensued. The storm took, as was its nature. Many fell, Agar among them. Riga could only watch as he tumbled down, 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 until her heart beat alone. She dove into the storm, giving herself to destroy it. Riga's spirit ascended higher into the sky, where she hoped to reunite with her brother. Instead, she met the thing that sent the storm. A bottomless well of grief, unreachable by reasoning or bargaining or violence. A voice in the darkness. And so, Riga gathered her feathers into an aegis of wings to shield the world below. But over the years, feathers broke away. Futility wore thin her resolve. Then, one day, her heart began to beat as it once had. Doubled, distant, but different. A beautiful echo. Hope called her home. And though she prayed to find Agar there, he never returned.
Their unique paracausal connection enables them to always sense whether either of them may be. When Mara had been spirited away during the Taken War, Aldrin knew that she truly wasn't gone. And when Aldrin had died, Mara knew Aldrin wasn't truly gone. Their bond has always been a unique one, enabling them to walk by faith and not by sight. What do I mean? Put simply, each sibling thrived and lived on hope, believing that what isn't yet will soon be. After all, the Awoken people suffered a fate unlike any other race in Destiny. You could say that they are the children of both light and darkness. In a time during the collapse, the Exodus colony ship named the Yang Li Wei, codenamed Exodus Green, made an attempt to flee the system, but got caught up in this battle between light and darkness. Have a listen to this lore entry titled Cosmogaia. She remembers everything about the moment she was born. She has gone outside Yang Li Wei to die in starlight. She cannot bear to let anyone see her fear or her awe at the scale of destruction, or her pity for the billions of souls dying in darkness back around Sol. She cannot be among the other crew as they cling to each other and whisper reassurances. Not even with her mother. She cannot surrender her mystery. So she kicks off the hole on 50 kilometers of tether, but there's no starlight to die in. The darkness is absolute. Gravity waves tug on her line, pulling her back toward Yang, and then hurling her away. In time, she feels another vibration in the line. "Sister," the tether transmits. "I'm coming out to get you." "Brother," she thinks. "You'll lose yourself trying to follow me." Captain Lee's voice breaks through the static, drawn out to the mumble and then compressed to a shriek. Spikes of hard radiation go through her words like bullets, spattering phonemes into eerie compression artifacts. This is the interstellar vessel Yang Li Wei to the entity interacting with us. We are not involved in your dispute with the powers around this star. We are on a mission to begin a new life elsewhere. Our purpose is orthogonal to yours. We request your indifference. Mara's tether trembles with Aldrin's progress. She holds it in one hand and reaches out with her, gripping the emptiness, feeling how the tides of broken space pull at her fingertips. She senses that the nothingness around her is not indifferent, that it is aware of all purposes, and that its own purpose encompasses them. It is infinitely hostile because it must be. Suddenly, As if the void around her has just spontaneously big banged, she sees light. A point of pure white shines in the cosmic distance, not just visible luminance. Her suit decompresses the spectrum, but light in the radio bands, in microwave, kneeing ultraviolet, a spike of gamma, a total and all-embracing radiation. It stings, it chatters, it speaks in a voice older than suns. She feels that she could Fourier the voice for a century and never decompose into its parts. It is awesome and appalling and piercingly true. Mara understands how those who die in radiation accidents must feel. A single flash of invisible power sears away all possible futures except one. She feels her soul itself has been ionized, blasted into a higher energy state. The light pierces the darkness, not like the sunrise, not like a wall or a flood, but a single propulsar ray, a finger of radiance that reaches out through deepest night to touch her. It illuminates Mara, Alduin, and Yang Liwei. It is not quite enough. It cannot vanquish the shadow. Thus Mara finds herself drifting on the edge of the light and the darkness, on the dusk and dawn gradient between the two. She feels the contest, a battle fought, an equilibrium reached. Not a truce, but an infinite limit, like an equation dividing by zero, a collision of two violent eternities. Mara queries Yang Liwei for telemetry, and her sensorium fills with the terrified scream of gravitational instruments. She howls too, a feral sound, ecstatic and lost, a wolf baying at the stars. She knows what's happening. Too much power has gathered here. The universe is appalled by the paradox. Nothing that has glimpsed this collision of infinitudes can be allowed to escape. The cosmos must censor its embarrassment. It must sequester the anomaly. The slope of wrapped space-time around them has become too steep, and now every path outwards or forward bends back to the center where light and dark collide. The definition of future has become synonymous with the definition of inward. This is why it's called an event horizon. For an object within the horizon, the path of all future things that can be done or seen leads inevitably down to the center. All events lead inward. A singularity is forming around her, a Kugelblitz, a black hole created by the concentration of raw energy. "Mara!" Alduin shouts. "Mara, you're too far out!" Mara thinks of her mother's face. She hears Osana say,
"I can't watch over you like a mother would. I have to make my own choices now."
She fires the detach command into the tether. Gravity seizes her. She falls forward into space and time, into the future, into the mystery. Yang Liwei is behind her. Alduin is behind her. This wouldn't be the first time I've referred to Cosmogai, and I'm sure it won't be the last. But the truth is, this defining moment shaped the evolution of the Awoken and their connection to the Ahamkara for some strange reason. This is a good question. Honestly, the exact location hasn't been revealed. But we know that the eggs are somewhere within the Dreaming City, and they haven't hatched yet. Whatever they do, it's going to be interesting and a big deal for Destiny. The idea that Riven would leave her Ahamkara in the care of Queen Mara Sov is as dangerous as keeping Riven once they built the Dreaming City. These creatures aren't easily impressed upon, and I wonder what kind of contingencies Mara would have put in place. With the curse of the Dreaming City having not been lifted, there is also a potential for Taken, Scorn, or even Hive to storm in and attempt to make a wish with an Ahamkara. With everything Uldren Sov did to the Scorn, I have no doubt in my mind that Crow and Mara will be knee-deep in Scorn machinations once Fikrul finds out where they are being kept. At the end of Season of the Wish, Morozov had a conversation with Riven about her whims. It's uncertain whether she is intentionally leaving them with her care, but it would be interesting to learn more about this hidden agreement. Have a listen.
I kept my promise, as you did yours. Isn't that a pleasant surprise?
For that, at least, you have my thanks.
And you have mine for always providing such a unique challenge. To impose your desires upon reality so artfully. You could teach my children a great deal. Until we meet again, Mara.
So, Riven has trusted her clutch to Morozov. This is a very interesting development, although it isn't one so alien. We couldn't have guessed it. It was obvious that Queen Mara had plans to utilize Ahamkara after her years of bargaining with Riven. Have a listen to what Morozov had to say about this.
It's no small feat, the things you've helped accomplish today. Thanks to you, and guardians like you, Crow has grown, walked his own path. In aiding Riven's clutch, you've averted the annihilation of an entire species, provided a chance for her children to choose their own paths. We'll be there to guide them, should they require it. Riven was never truly an ally, but common cause aligned us in a way I had not anticipated. Relying on her was a risk, true. But there was a time when the Vanguard was averse to trusting me as well. Trust is dangerous, risky, vulnerable. But to trust is to hope. And what is life without it? It separates us from the witness, a creature that is the death of those things. Of all things. I've peered into its eclectic souls and found only nihilism. Even now, the soul divisive burns through the dreaming city and the confluence. You've granted the wish, carved a path, but battles remain before you. Expunge the Vex from the dreaming halls while Osiris prepares the veil to forge a bridge to my brother. This will allow you to lead a strike force into the Traveler's pale heart and rendezvous with Crow. From there, it will be the fight of your lives. Steel yourself. You fight for all of us.
This was clear from observing Mara in her throne room during Season of the Lost. Many of you will remember that there was a corrupted Ahamkara egg hidden in the Queen's chambers. What we've learned from the Season of the Wish, however, is that taken corruption can be removed. And what if Mara had been shown this future all along? What if the Nine had revealed this to her? There are still components to this plan between Eris Morn, Elsie Bray and Osiris that still looms in the wind. Somewhere, somehow, everything we've experienced in the story thus far was part of a larger plan. One that Morozov was enacting and knows more than she is telling us. By her own admittance, she was tempted by grander plans. But I can't help but wonder how true her admittance to temptation really is. How can she profess to have been tempted when she is about to become a surrogate mother to 6 Ahamkara women? Whim is a word used to describe young Ahamkara. Morozov has been the perpetrator to unspeakable sacrifice and unspeakable crimes. Though she professes that it was all in the name of her grand scheme, and plan for the protection of her people and for the good of humanity, having glimpsed the Black Edge and the Witness itself, I think we as Guardians would be foolish not to worry about Mara Sov potentially teaching Ahamkara something that could backfire in the future, or their power overrunning and attracting Guardians who regularly roam the Dreaming City with promise of power or loot. The Ahamkara's return, their connection to the Traveler, and the potential dangers they pose are all topics that will undoubtedly continue to unfold as we venture further into the final shape. The mysteries surrounding these ancient beings are as vast and complex as the universe of Destiny itself. As we move forward, the Ahamkara will undoubtedly play a crucial role in the narrative. Their potential for power, influence and manipulation could drastically change the course of our journey. In the meantime, we can only prepare for the unpredictable and brace ourselves for the unexpected. If you've made it this far into the video, welcome. I mentioned earlier that Mara Sov has a habit of circling back to her old self. She claims that it is power that is attracted to her. On the contrary, I think it is she who is attracted to power. Though Riven is gone, the Soul Divisive Vex still try to gain access to the Confluence. Their greatest upheaval is their inability to calculate power causality, as by nature it exists outside of causal existence. For centuries the Vex have witnessed this and still try to gain access. According to Osiris in seasonal dialogue from Season of the Wish, the Collective are trying to use the Confluence to forcefully merge their mind with the Witness, in order to become paracausal. This is ultimately futile, but they continue to try nonetheless. There is also word that Fikrol is intentionally distracting Guardians within Riven's lair. Although it is unclear why he would do this, I suspect that he is searching for the other Scorn, and also the young Ahamkara. The most noteworthy part of this entire moment is what Queen Mara has to say. Have a listen to this.
I walked the Confluence before your fire team arrived. I found a lone Taken and ordered it to stop.
You are testing dangerous waters. That is familiar territory for you.
Imagine, to wield the Taken, to never order Petra to send another Corsair. It is the lesser evil by a great wide margin.
And there we have it. Despite her claim of learning her lesson, the Queen is at it again. Her ambition knows no bounds. She's attempting to control the Taken and intrigued by the notion of bringing a force under her control. And given the power that the Awoken can wield, I think it's safe to say that this isn't entirely impossible. I couldn't help but wonder if Mara could seek out Commander Sloane, given that she is now part Taken and part Guardian. And Ziva Arath isn't able to control the Taken at all. There is room for another Taken Master. Sloane's unique composition is poised perfectly to ascend, just as Eris Morn did. In any case, the next 6 months are going to be wild, as the story of Destiny unfolds and a new web of machinations are spun by the remaining forces in our system, known and unknown. For now though, keep your wits about you, Guardians. You are the light of hope, and you can withstand the density of the darkness, but we cannot do it alone. Keep moving forward no matter what, for the true light of hope is on the horizon. But that's all I have for you. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. If you did, consider leaving a like or comment below. Tell me, do you think the Ahamkara originate from within the Traveler, Or has the witness done something unspeakable? Subscribe and click the bell to find out when my next lore video goes live. Remember, no matter what you're facing at this moment in time, you can do all things. Stay safe and Godspeed.